Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another video. In this video, we're going to be doing something a little different. Something I personally wished I had when I was in your position, or the people watching this video maybe a year ago, when I was just entering my year two of IB, my final year, and it was also the time for me to apply to universities. Now, this process, it is quite stressful for many students, including myself, but that is just because how it is portrayed to be. As a matter of fact, when you actually start applying, you realize that the process is extremely simple. And the system, especially for the UK universities, the system that they have designed for students to apply to universities, both international and domestic students, actually want you to get into a university. Not necessarily the university of your choice, but they want you to go and have a higher education. Now, unlike some other countries, I won't name drop any, the system is very supportive. They want you to go somewhere and they have multiple resources at hand which are there to help you. Now, I'm going to get into a few. And over here, I have a few pictures of some of the top universities in the UK. Here you have the University of Edinburgh, you have the university, you have Imperial College of London, you have King's College of London, you have University of Oxford, there's Cambridge, there's UCL. There are many other very good universities in the UK. And to have to choose from this can be a tricky situation. And how do you choose? How do you know which universities you want to go to? How do you select? And I'm going to kind of give you a brief rundown of how you can do that. Now, the very first thing I want you to do is that you should do your research. Definitely, this is the very first and most important point. Do your research. Don't just go off based off the name of the university, right? Some universities may have a great name, like for example Oxford University, Cambridge University, Imperial College, King's College London. These universities have very good name in the international community worldwide. Everybody knows these universities, right? So you may be inclined to attend here, but before you do choose to attend here, you should also think about other factors, like, is this university known for your specific course? So for example, the University of Edinburgh specializes in veterinarian science. Imperial College London specializes in computer science. King's College London may specialize in medicine or dentistry. And Oxford University could specialize in history or philosophy. These are just examples. So every university has its own strengths and weaknesses. So some departments of some universities are very strong, others may not be as strong. So you should really do your research and see which university is the one where your course is its strength. If you want to do business or science or economics or history, go and do your research and see which university specializes in that specific area. And some good websites to do this is the QS rankings. Now, I know I did say earlier that just don't go off based off the name of the university, but the QS rankings website has some very good resources to help you see which universities in the UK are leading in your specific subject area. So if you go to the QS website, there is an option to select rankings by subject. So there you can go and you can click on the subject that you wish to study, and you'll see the rankings of the universities in the UK. And other websites, you have the Times Higher Education, which is another ranking system. And another great one is the Student Room UK, which I found very helpful. Over here, it's like a question forum. It's like a forum for students who are going to the UK or who are in the UK. And you can ask questions about which universities are great for specific courses, specific subjects. And you have alumni, you have higher education advisors who can answer you in the forum. It's a great resource, so please make the best of use of it. And another important resource that I personally found very, very useful and surprisingly useful is Wikipedia. Believe it or not, if you search up a specific university, like for example, if you search up the University of Edinburgh, and if you go to the Wikipedia page and if you see their academics, you see their alumni, you see what their alumni have specialized in, how many Nobel laureates do they have, what departments are they good in. Wikipedia will give you in-depth information about that specific university. So please go and use that resource as well. It is very helpful, trust me. Now, the next part that I would, once you have narrowed down universities based on the subject which you choose to specialize in, if that is your university, if you have finally got down around 4 or 5 universities in the UK which specialize in your course, the next step would be to make sure that the universities that you have selected are a good spread. Now, what do I mean by a good spread? It is no secret that some universities are harder to get into than others, right? And that's just natural. You have some universities which have been established for hundreds and hundreds of years, and other universities which are slightly newer. So automatically the universities with more experience, with more age, are or tend to be better or harder to get into than universities which are fairly newer, right? So you should make sure that the universities you are applying to are not all hard to get into. And I put hard in quotation marks because in the UK, the rate of offers that are given to students is fairly high. It is much higher than American universities or Canadian universities. For example, the offer rate for University of Edinburgh is about 46%. So 46% of the students who apply to the University of Edinburgh approximately get an offer for their course. Now, this percentage varies. It may be a bit higher, it may be a bit lower for some courses, but that is the general or overall percentage. And for example, for Oxford, I think off the top of my head, I can't exactly remember, but the percentage for the offer rate is about 30%, which is also quite high for such a top class, top ranking university. For King's College London, it's about 50%, slightly higher. For Imperial College, it's about 35%, I think. So you see that these statistics, they do tell us that the universities want you to get in. They want you to do well. They want you to come to the university and study and make a name for yourself and enjoy the subject and learn more about it. So they are on your side. So when I said choose a good spread of universities, I mean that choose some universities which have an offer rate of 30%. These are your top class, higher ranking universities. Choose some universities which have an acceptance rate of about 50%, 55%, and then choose some universities which have an acceptance rate of about 78%, 80%, 90%. You have some universities like that. And I chose two universities as such when I was selecting my course. Now, what are this ratio 3:1:1, 2:2:1? What is this? Well, this is basically the ratio at which an optimal ratio, I would say, of you selecting universities of different categories. Now, there could be three categories which you could classify universities in. There will be reach universities. The reach universities are your aspirational ones, the ones that you really want to go into, the top ones in your list. But the chance of you getting in is not as high as it would be for other universities. Then the next section would be your match universities. So these are the universities with which you match with quite literally in the name, the universities which you have a good chance of getting into. And then you have your safety universities, meaning the chance of you getting into these universities is extremely high, and these are your safety. So in case you don't get into your match or your reaches, you have a fallback option. So when I was selecting universities, I chose three match options. So three universities which were in my range, and I chose one university which was my reach, and I chose one safety. Or you could also do it another way. You could choose two reaches, you could choose two matches, and you could choose one safety. But I wouldn't recommend you choosing more than three reaches. That would not be good. Now, once you have had a good spread of universities that you have selected, the next thing you want to do is you want to visit the website of the universities. You want to look at your course. You want to see what content they offer. You want to see how satisfied students are with this course. On almost every university in the UK, there is there's a statistic shown under a course which shows you how satisfied the students were. And this survey is conducted by third-party organizations which look into how students felt about the course that they were in, how informative it was, how much did it help them, how did it help them get a job, and things like that. In terms of this, UK universities are very, very helpful. They want you to see everything about the university before you commit to them. And I don't see this happening in American universities, but in the UK universities, it does happen. So look at the course content, look at the specifics, look at how long it takes, look at the tuition cost. All these things are available on the website itself. It's very helpful, very organized. Another thing you would want to look at is the specific requirements of IB grades. In UK, IB is accepted by every university, and that is a fact. It is accepted by every single university. IB is regarded as a very high class syllabus, and every university recognizes that it's a very difficult syllabus and it's on par with the A levels. So when you go to the website of the university, you select your course, and in the course, they have the entry requirements very specifically listed, and they have the IB grades that are required. They will show you how many overall points they need. And they may also show you specific points in specific subjects. So for example, when I was applying, I applied for biochemistry. So for the University of Edinburgh, my requirement was 37 points, which is inclusive of the bonus points. So it was 37 points with, I think it was a 766 at HL. That means I need to score 7, 6, and 6 in my HL subjects. It doesn't matter in which order there are. So I could score a 6 in one HL subject, a 6 in another, and a 7 in another. So the order doesn't matter, but that was a requirement. And these requirements are listed on every single course for every single subject in UK university websites. So please look at that. And this will also help you to determine which would be a match, reach, and safety university, because only you know how well you are doing in school. You know how your predicted grades are going to look like. And these predicted grades that are given to you by your school based on your exams is also going to determine if you get an offer from the university, because these are the predicted grades that are sent out to the universities. Unless, of course, I think if you're in the November examination, then your actual grades or final IB grades are used by the university. But if you're a May student like myself, then your predicted grades are used. But anyways, where you stand academically, which would be your reach, your match, and safety. And to help you make the decision, take a look at the specific IB grade requirements. Now, the fourth point, apply early. UK universities give you a lot of time to apply, right? And it's rolling application. So what I mean by that is that the applications open up, I think, end of November, I believe. I'm not entirely sure. Please check that out. But I think applications open by end of November, and they run on through December, and they close on January 15th. So you have a lot of time. You have more than a month to apply and send out your applications to different universities. So don't procrastinate. Apply early. The earlier you apply, the earlier you can receive your offer. Because unlike American or Canadian universities, British universities will apply on a basis of first come, first serve. So if you apply earlier, you're going to get your offer earlier as well. Or mostly that's the case. Sometimes it's not, but mostly that's the case. And that's what I have seen personally with my experience and experience of people around me. As for students who are applying to Oxford or Cambridge for any course, and those students who are applying for medicine in any university, your deadline is October 15th. So that is much earlier. And that's why you should be on your toes by now. If you are planning to apply for medicine, you should have finished your application or at least be halfway through it. And you should also write the test which is required for medical colleges in the UK. It's called the UK CAT, or I think you have to write the BMAT. It depends on the university. Again, everything is on the website of the university, so you should go and check that out. Next, and last, my final point, check the tuition costs and the cost of living and other expenses. Now, I know this is a last section or a last resort. This all happens after you've gone to the university, but finances is an important thing. Going to university is a big decision, and it is a costly decision as well. But not to say that this cost doesn't come without benefits. It does come with benefits, a lot of benefits. But you want to make sure that you're getting the value for money. You want to make sure that it is within your financial reach. So, for example, I had to make a choice between King's College London and University of Edinburgh. And I chose University of Edinburgh, of course, because it was, again, even though King's College is more recognized in the world, University of Edinburgh is better for my specific subject, which is biological sciences. So that's why I chose to go here. And in addition to this, another factor also influenced my decision, which was the cost of living and other expenses. As you know, King's College is in London, right? And London is a very expensive city, right? From food to utilities to rent, it is a very expensive city as compared to Edinburgh, which is not as expensive. And that is another factor which contributed to my decision for choosing Edinburgh over King's College London. Now, some of you may be thinking, what about other factors? What about my personal statement? What about my IB predicted grades? How do I get good IB predicted grades, or how do I write a good personal statement? About the IB predicted grades, how to get good IB grades, I have covered that in a previous video. So you should go and watch that on how to do well in the IB. As for your personal statement, I'm just going to tell you one thing. The personal statement is not a story. Unlike American essays, the personal statement needs to be succinct. It's, I think, only about 4,000 characters, not words, characters. So about 600 words, right? You have to explain why you want to do your course, why you want to do the course in that specific university, your hobbies. And by hobbies, I don't mean reading, writing. You need to give hobbies which pack a punch, right? Which show that you are interested in the course, that you've took initiative outside your classroom to explore more in your subject. So that may be doing online courses, or attending summer camps, or starting a YouTube channel, or reading books, different types of books. And by books, I don't mean storybooks. I mean maybe college level textbooks or higher level textbooks which give you in-depth knowledge. You need to demonstrate your extracurricular activities. This may be your sports or your clubs or leadership roles. Even work experience goes a very long way. And these are things that impresses the person who's reading your essay. And remember, unlike American universities, in UK universities, your applications are read and screened by people in your department. So if you're applying for business, your application is going to be read by someone who knows about the subject of business, unlike American universities where a common group of applicant readers gather around and read, who don't really have expertise in the subject that you're applying for, but they just kind of judge you overall as a person. But in the UK university, that's not the case. Your application is being read by someone who specializes in your subject, or at least knows about your subject and knows details about it. So feel free to include your knowledge about your subject. Don't make it too long. Keep it succinct and make sure you get your point across. If you need extra help with your personal statement, feel free to reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help you. There are many online videos as well which tell you what people look for in applications, in personal statements, etc., etc. So please check those out. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any other questions about this whole rather confusing process and maybe a bit daunting process, please feel free to reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to help you. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in another video with another topic.